Imagine a killer who taunted the police with cryptic messages and unsolved codes, leaving a trail of terror across California. What kind of person commits such heinous crimes and then boldly flaunts their deeds to the world? This was the reality for the people of California in the late 1960s and early 1970s. Welcome to True Stories, where today we delve into the chilling tale of the Zodiac Killer, one of America's most notorious and enigmatic serial killers. This is a story of fear, mystery, and unanswered questions, a story that has haunted the nation for decades. The Zodiac Killer terrorized Northern California from the late 1960s to the early 1970s, a time when fear gripped a region. He claimed responsibility for 37 murders, though only 5 have been confirmed. But it wasn't just the killing that shocked the nation. It was the way the Zodiac engaged with the public and law enforcement. This was no ordinary murderer. He was a man who craved attention, who took pleasure in taunting the police and media. Through letters, cryptic messages, and unsolved codes, he played a chilling game of cat and mouse, all while keeping his true identity hidden. The Zodiac Killer wasn't just a criminal, he was a master manipulator, using fear as his weapon. The Zodiac's reign of terror began on December 20th, 1968, with the cold-blooded murder of 2 teenagers, Betty Lou Jensen and David Faraday, near Vallejo, California. The couple was parked on a quiet, rural road, enjoying a typical date night, unaware that it would be their last. A lone gunman approached their car and, without warning, opened fire, killing them both. This double homicide marked the beginning of a chilling series of brutal attacks, each more perplexing than the last. Just months later, on July 4th, 1969, the Zodiac struck again. This time, he targeted another young couple, Darlene Ferrin and Michael Mago, at Blue Rock Springs Park, just a few miles from the first crime scene. As they sat in their car, a man approached and shot them multiple times. Darlene tragically succumbed to her injuries, but Michael miraculously survived, becoming one of the few people to have seen the Zodiac and lived to tell the tale. These early attacks were brutal, seemingly random, and left the police and public alike searching for answers. But the Zodiac was just getting started. The killer first revealed his infamous identity as Zodiac in a chilling letter sent to 3 local newspapers on August 1st, 1969. In this letter, the Zodiac displayed a disturbing mix of arrogance and malice, taunting the police and media while laying out his demands. He threatened more violence if his letter wasn't published on the front page. But it wasn't just the threats that sent shivers down the spine of those who read the letter, it was the cryptic cipher included within. The Zodiac claimed that this cipher, if decoded, would reveal his true identity. It was the first of many letters, each more puzzling and unnerving than the last, leaving both the public and authorities in a state of fear and confusion. The name Zodiac would soon become synonymous with terror, as the killer continued his correspondence, playing a sinister game that seemed to have no end in sight. The Zodiac's use of ciphers became a defining feature of his twisted game. He sent 4 main ciphers to newspapers, challenging both the public and law enforcement to unravel his secrets. The first cipher, known as the Z408, was cracked by a married couple within days. It revealed a disturbing message but provided no clues to his identity. However, the Zodiac's subsequent ciphers were far more complex. The Z340, sent in November 1969, became infamous for its complexity. For over 50 years, it remained an unsolved mystery, baffling even the most skilled cryptographers. It wasn't until 2020 that a team of amateur codebreakers finally cracked it, revealing a message that only deepened the enigma surrounding the killer. Yet, despite this breakthrough, the most crucial piece of the puzzle, the Zodiac's true identity, remained as elusive as ever. The Zodiac didn't limit his terror to just letters and ciphers. On several occasions, he reached out to the police directly through phone calls, each one more chilling than the last. One of the most notorious calls came after the brutal murder of cab driver Paul Stein in San Francisco on October 11, 1969. Just minutes after the killing, the Zodiac called the police from a nearby phone booth. In his calm and calculated manner, he described the murder in disturbing detail, leaving the authorities stunned and scrambling to find him. These phone calls added another layer of fear to his already terrifying reign, proving that the Zodiac was not only a killer but a master of psychological manipulation. The Zodiac's reign of terror was not confined to just one area. He struck across multiple counties in Northern California, spreading fear wherever he went. His attacks were sporadic and unpredictable, making it difficult for law enforcement to anticipate his next move. Victims ranged from young couples enjoying a night out to a lone taxi driver going about his work, all selected seemingly at random. This randomness added to the terror, as no one felt safe, and authorities struggled to connect the dots and predict where he would strike next. The Zodiac's ability to move from place to place with such unpredictability only deepened the sense of dread and helplessness in the community. In March 1970, a young woman named Kathleen Johns was driving with her infant daughter when she encountered the Zodiac Killer. According to Johns, the Zodiac flagged her down, claiming he could help her with a car issue. Once she stopped, he allegedly abducted her and her child. In a dramatic turn of events, Johns managed to escape after a harrowing ordeal. Her story was unusual because, unlike many of the Zodiac's other victims, she survived. Nevertheless, the incident further highlighted the Zodiac's ability to inflict fear and uncertainty. Kathleen Johns' escape did not diminish the terror he spread instead. It underscored the Zodiac's chilling presence and the danger he posed. Throughout his killing spree, the Zodiac Killer didn't just commit crimes, he taunted the police and media with disturbing letters. He often included detailed descriptions of his murders and demanded that his letters be published in the newspapers. He even threatened to kill again if they weren't. His letters were filled with strange symbols and cryptic ciphers, creating a sense of dread and confusion. One of his infamous lines read, "I like killing people because it is so much fun by communicating directly with the public." He only increased the hysteria and fear surrounding his case, leaving both authorities and citizens on edge. On October 11th, 1969, the Zodiac Killer targeted his last confirmed victim, Paul Stein, a cab driver in San Francisco. This murder was different from his previous attacks. It happened in a crowded area, and police were close to catching him, however. A mix-up in communication allowed the Zodiac to slip away once again. This murder was significant because it was the first time the Zodiac targeted a male victim alone and in an urban setting. It marked a turning point in the investigation, highlighting the killer's ability to adapt and evade capture even in a bustling city. The search for the Zodiac Killer became one of the largest manhunts in U.S. history. Multiple law enforcement agencies, including the FBI, were involved in the investigation. Despite their efforts, the Zodiac always seemed to be one step ahead, avoiding capture and continuing to terrorize the public. The frustration for the authorities grew as the Zodiac's ability to stay hidden became apparent. Numerous suspects were investigated, with Arthur Leigh Allen being the most well-known. Despite being a prime suspect, no definitive evidence was ever found to link Allen or anyone else to the murders. The investigation remains one of the most perplexing and frustrating cases in criminal history. Over the years, many suspects have emerged in the Zodiac Killer case, but none have been definitively proven to be the murderer. Arthur Leigh Allen is perhaps the most famous suspect. He had some circumstantial evidence pointing in his direction, but he was never charged, and the case against him was never conclusive. Other suspects have included military veterans, former mental patients, and even individuals who believed the Zodiac was a member of their own family. Despite various theories and investigations, no one has ever been definitively identified as the Zodiac Killer. The mystery of the Zodiac's true identity remains one of the most compelling aspects of the case, leaving the question open to speculation and intrigue. The Zodiac Killer's reign of terror left a deep and lasting impact on Northern California and the entire nation. His brutal crimes and taunting communications have inspired countless books, documentaries, and movies. The fear he created during his active years never fully disappeared. The case remains a source of fascination and dread for many. The Zodiac's ability to evade capture for so long has led some to wonder if he is still out there, lurking in the shadows. Even with the passage of time, the Zodiac case remains active, with new theories and suspects popping up every few years. Advances in forensic technology, like DNA analysis, offer some hope that we might finally uncover the Zodiac's identity. But despite these advancements, the case is still unsolved. The Zodiac's true identity continues to elude even the most experienced investigators. The Zodiac Killer case stands as one of the most notorious unsolved mysteries in American history. The killer's ability to instill fear, his cryptic messages, and his disappearance after the early 1970s have solidified his place in criminal history. As we wrap up this chapter of true crime, we are left with more questions than answers. Who was the Zodiac Killer? And why was he never caught? The truth remains out there, hidden in the shadows. And with that said, thanks for watching True Stories. If this tale of mystery and superstition caught your interest, hit that subscribe button to join us for more fascinating stories from history's strangest corners. Until next time, stay curious.